Hi, Ghosties. I'm Macy.
And I'm Natalie.
And it's Thursday, so it's a listener story day.
Woo, woo, woo.
And we thought for the month of December, since we're being festive, we were going to have hot chocolate for our listener stories.
Macy has 85% marshmallow.
Abundance of marshmallow. It was an accident. I didn't want to stick my hand in the bag of marshmallows, so I just started dumping and it just like poured out. And I was like, well, I guess I have more marshmallow than hot chocolate, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
What kind of hot chocolate is this?
This is surprisingly that we've never tried one. This is the Ghirardelli double chocolate hot cocoa mix. I've always wanted to try it, but for some reason I'm very stuck on the Swiss Miss brand.
I don't really care. That's the one I grab because that's one we've always had. So it's not like I have to buy Swiss Miss.
Same.
It's just the familiar one that I just stick in my cart.
Same. And I'm afraid to venture out, although I love hot chocolate and this one smells really good. Mm-hmm. And Ghirardelli is my favorite chocolate brand for the caramel.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about this.
And please do not make fun of me for my marshmallows. I'm a little embarrassed.
It's pretty bad.
You ready?
Oh yeah, let's go. I'm a fan.
It's pretty good, yeah.
I think it's very good. It's very chocolatey. I feel very festive and I feel very excited for Christmas.
Me too. I mix mine up so my marshmallows melted down a little.
So Macy doesn't know how it actually tastes.
No, it's more marshmallow.
But mine,
with a hint of cocoa.
Mine's pretty good. Okay,
our first one, I emailed her back, but I hadn't got an email yet on pronunciation. But I think her name is Eira. It's
okay.
Eira. So if we are wrong, I'm very sorry. Correct us in the comments. But this is from Eira. Hey, Ghosties. I recently found your podcast and have been binging episodes ever since. To me, it's the perfect balance of spooky and sleepover chat, if that makes sense.
That's what we wanted.
I thought I might send in some of my own experiences since I seem to have a track record with the unknown. I can't really say for certain that each experience was 100% paranormal, but I know I didn't make it up in my head and can't think of any explanations for it. So I hope I don't sound crazy. Haha.
I'm sure you won't.
Not here anyway.
We'll see.
I'm Eira. I'm in my mid-20s and have only lived in 3 houses my entire life. At least one paranormal encounter has happened in each house that I've lived in, and I'm starting to wonder if something's following me or if I just happen to experience something at each house. Surely if something were attached to me, I'd experience more, right?
I don't know.
Maybe. Anyways, the first house I lived in was a small house in a little suburban community. I absolutely love that house and still do to this day, despite the fact that it was the house I had my first paranormal experience in. Before I get into what happened, it's important to note that I slept in a loft bed. In the area below my bed was my bookshelf and desk, which came with the bed and acted as supports for the loft, and my dresser, which my mom had put under there to help me preserve space in my rather small room.
I always wanted one of those growing up.
Me too.
I always had just the
regular bunk bed.
Well, no, the vision of me doing homework and doing teen things under the bed and then having my little bed up there.
Yeah.
I always wanted one of those.
So did I.
Sorry, that's so off topic, but I had to say it.
I always slept facing my door and always had a nightlight. That hasn't changed to this day. Back then, I slept with my door open, but don't anymore because, pardon my French, heck that.
Is that what she
did? I like it. My brother's room was right across from mine. I could see their door from my bed, and my parents' room was at the end of the hall, opposite of the stairs that led down to the ground floor of the house. I hope that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I was around 10 years old at the time this occurred. It was late at night, and I was up way past my bedtime reading whatever Nancy Drew book I had borrowed from the library. I don't know what time it was when it started, but at some point while I was reading, I heard what sounded like footsteps running up and down the stairs. I was immediately on edge, startled, and confused. I hadn't heard my parents or brothers open their doors at all. The door to my brother's room hadn't moved, and from where my bed was, I would have seen the tops of my mom's and dad's heads if they left their room to go downstairs. Nevertheless, something was running up and down our stairs. As freaky as it was, it would have been easy to dismiss if it only happened for a few seconds. But no, it went on for roughly 3 to 5 minutes. The stamina that this thing had was insane. At this point, I was mostly under my blanket, having given up on reading and was just focused on trying to block the unexplainable sound out. Being the little detective wannabe that I was, I tried to go through what it could possibly be, but I couldn't come up with any reasonable answer, other than ghost. Also, being the scaredy cat that I was, and still am, there was no way I was going to get out of bed and investigate myself. In my eyes, if a ghost wanted to run up and down our stairs at night, who was I to tell it no? I was just a kid and had no interest in being haunted for the rest of my life because I interrupted its cardio. As suddenly as the running had started, it stopped and I felt relief wash over me. I was eager to sleep and be blissfully unaware of whatever other sounds happened at night, but was too shaken for what had just happened to let myself sleep. After a few minutes of tense silence, I felt my stomach drop when I heard nails tapping at the foot of my bed. It was rhythmic, almost taunting, but I stayed under my blanket and tried to focus on keeping my breathing as quiet as humanly possible. That night, I found out that, if I try, I can breathe without making any sound at all, even in almost complete silence. As the tapping went on, I found myself silently praying for it to end. Unfortunately for me, instead of stopping, the tapping changed rhythm and went on for another 3 to 5 minutes before it finally stopped. I stayed completely still, dreading what could possibly happen next, as it seemed to be getting closer to me with each thing it did. First the steps, then the foot of my bed. Thankfully, nothing else happened before I was able to fall asleep. If something happened while I was asleep, I have no idea what it was, and I'm rather happy with my blissful ignorance of it. Still, I have no idea what that was. It could have done that every night for all I know, and I just happened to stay up late enough to hear it. Lucky me if that was the case.
That is genuinely really scary. I don't like... I hate when it comes from our listeners, because like, what do you mean? The tapping?
Yeah.
Why is it always tapping? And why is it always at nighttime? Why can it never be like, I was sitting in my bed at
Noon.
7 a.m. I was going to say noon. At 7 a.m. just having a little breakfast in bed and I heard a noise. But is it because the darkness like lets our minds wander?
I don't know. I truly don't.
The darkness just adds the...
Like creep factor?
Yes. Because if this happened during the day, yeah, that's scary, but you can see.
I don't know. I'd rather it happen at nighttime, so most of it's happening when I'm sleeping, like Eira said. Like, maybe it happens every night, but we're all asleep and we don't know, and the ghosts just come out to play.
That's fine. That is totally fine with me.
After a few years and the arrivals of my little sisters, we had outgrown the house and needed to find a new place to live. During the hunt for the house, we put ours on the market, and it sold more quickly than we had expected. We hadn't found a new home yet, but my grandparents were kind enough to let us move in with them while we looked. We were there for about 3 years. The only important thing to note for this story is that I have a cylinder-shaped pillow. It may seem weird to point it out, but trust me, it's important. While living at my grandparents' house, I had a proper bunk bed instead of my loft bed. I slept on the top because I was used to it, while my little sister slept below. One in the bunk below me, while the other slept in her toddler bed. It was kind of cramped with the 3 of us in there, but we made it work. Because of the way I laid, with my pillow on the same side of the bed as the ladder, I always placed a lap desk up against the notch in the bed, since I was paranoid that I would fall out of the bed in my sleep. It never happened, but I was cautious. The lap desk was wood on one side and nice and plushy on the other side. So with the plushy side facing me, I wouldn't give myself a concussion in the middle of the night and could sleep without fear of falling out. It was a win-win. I also slept with a lot of stuffed animals and still do. Having a bunk bed meant that my animals wouldn't fall out of my bed because of the railing. So I had some on the sides of my bed and head of my bed where I was. And also at the foot of my bed.
Relatable.
When we had bunk beds, I literally used to line my whole bed around with all my animals.
Yeah.
The cylinder pillow I mentioned before was at the foot of my bed during this night in question. I was about 15 by now, and as I was struggling to sleep, I made the horrible decision of rolling onto my side to face the wall, turning my back to the entire rest of the room. I have since learned from this mistake and will never do that again. As I was facing the wall, I felt something tug on my blanket. This wasn't the type of tug as if something were trying to take my blanket from me, but rather the kind of tug you'd feel if someone was holding a blanket up so they could get under it with you and cuddle. Being in a bunk bed, single, and able to hear both of my sisters actively sleeping, well, you can tell how this was concerning to me. I didn't dare move as I felt something shift and press up against my back. It only got worse when I felt something breathe against my neck 3 times. Yes, I counted. I was terrified. And only 3 times. I never felt it again after that, though the pressure against my back didn't move. What only freaked me out further was the fact that the breath felt warm, as if someone truly had their mouth up close to my neck and breathed on it. I didn't know what to do. I didn't dare turn around, but I also wanted to know what the actual heck was behind me. So I started to move my arm underneath my head ever so slowly until I touched what felt like hair. It was shorter than mine, but oh gosh, I'm so freaked out. But thinking it might just be the ends of my own ponytail and I was freaking myself out more for no reason, I gave the hair a little tug just to prove to myself that it was my own. But I didn't feel anything. When I tugged it, my scalp had no response at all. It wasn't my hair. Beyond scared, I did what any logical human being would do. I just stayed there in that exact position and didn't move until the sun rose. What else could I do? Same. I'd probably do the exact same thing. Whatever was with me was blocking me from the ladder and the rest of the room, so I couldn't get away. The only choices I had were to face it, big nope, and stay there until sunlight. Only after the morning sun filled my room did I gather the courage to turn around and see what exactly was behind me. With my arm numb from how long it had been under my head, I slowly shifted and turned to find that cylinder pillow right beside me in bed. The cylinder pillow that had been at the foot of my bed at the beginning of the night. And she didn't sleep.
What?
I did end up telling my mom about it, but she simply dismissed it and said that maybe the breathing was the AC. I get that she was trying to keep me from freaking myself out even more, but I know what I experienced. If it had been the AC, the breath on my neck wouldn't have only been 3 times and definitely wouldn't have been as warm as it was.
That might be in the top 5 of the worst we've ever heard.
Yeah, that one was sickening.
Oh my... Why did it have hair?
I don't know. That part really got me too. Like she could feel the hair and pulled on the hair.
That's like making my stomach hurt.
When I first read it, I was scared that she was going to tug on the hair and it would like realize and I don't know, something weird was going to happen.
No, because if anything else happened, this person would never recover, or I would never recover.
for them?
Yes. I hate it. I hate it a lot.
Fast forward to just a few years ago, my family was now fully settled into our new home, the house I'm in as I'm writing this. I was lucky enough to get my own room, which is especially great since I don't really sleep until 4 a.m. on average. I'm sorry, but as soon as it hits 3 a.m., I can't bring myself to sleep until that hour has passed. Call me paranoid, but I've heard too many stories to fall asleep knowing it's within the hour of 3 a.m.
Not me. Because I am a night owl as well. If I stay up and I notice it's 3 o'clock, I'm like, well, it's time for me to go. I need to, and I close my eyes. I can't be awake. And if I am awake, I'll just turn the lights on. Like, I can't. Mm-mm.
I've turned the lights on at 3 a.m. a time or two.
Yeah, just not feeling very safe.
No. Now, my best friend and I do video and voice calls rather frequently since we don't get to see each other in person a lot. It was during one of these calls that I found out something I could have lived my life happily unaware of. One day, she said she forgot to tell me, but during our previous video call, she had a rather creepy experience while I was gone. She proceeded to tell me that while I was away from my laptop, my mom had needed me for something and I had told her I'd be back in a few minutes. Something weird happened. I had set my headphones over the back of my chair, which were visible to her from where the laptop's camera was positioned. Apparently, while I was away, the call got disconnected on my end, then reconnected very quickly. This was weird, but she knew I had been having Wi-Fi problems, so she didn't think much of it at first. Keep in mind that at this point, my Wi-Fi problems had been recently fixed, though she didn't know this at the time. Then, a minute or so later, she heard sounds from my end of the call. Thinking it was me coming back into my room, she called, "Hello," mostly as a joke since she knew I wouldn't be able to hear her without my headphones on. I wasn't ready for what she said next. After she called out, she heard someone reply with a soft, oddly cheerful, "Hello." She told me that it sounded female, but didn't sound like anyone in my family, and that it sounded close to the microphone. She could hear bits and pieces of me and my family in the background, since the mic was picking it up every now and then, so she knew what it would sound like if the mic was just accidentally picking up my family. But this voice sounded close as my voice usually sounded when I wore my headset. She could see my headset hanging over the chair while she heard it, so she knew it wasn't me off screen trying to scare her, and this wasn't some weird glitch. Something had disconnected our call, then reconnected, and spoke to her. Thankfully, it didn't say anything else to her, but she also didn't stick around too long after that to find out if it would. After nervously asking, "How are you?" she waited about 30 seconds to see if something else was going to happen. Nothing did, then disconnected the call and waited for me to call back when I returned. I think I would have done the same thing. Just immediately, just boop. I don't think I'd ask how it's feeling, how it's doing.
No, not at all.
Honestly, I'm thankful she didn't tell me that night that it happened. There was no way I was going to be able to sleep if she had, but hearing it as something that happened in the past was, while still freaky because it happened in my room, comforting in a way because it proved that my life went on as normal after it. Why it wanted to talk to her, I don't know, but I don't blame it. She's a really fun person. I'm sorry this is so long, but I felt these 3 had to be told together because of the underlying theme. Recounting them, I can't help but wonder if I'm going to have another paranormal experience when I eventually move out of this house that I'm in now. 1 experience per house is definitely more than enough for me, but if it's really a one and done situation for each house, then that's okay with me, within reason, of course. I hope all of this made sense. While I'm used to writing in general, I'm not used to writing things like this down, and it's a lot easier to explain in person when I can use my hands to gesture while I talk. Again, I love your podcast and look forward to each new episode. Much love, Eira.
Thank you. But
yes,
I don't know. It seems like it gets closer every time.
That's scary.
Because like it started off, the stairs and then the tapping, and then it was in the bed, and now it's reaching out to people other than her. I don't know.
I wonder if it's her or if she just happens to, I don't know, pull in the spirits of like around the house and
I don't know
the strangeness. It just happens to be, they happen to connect with her in some way.
I don't know, but I'm scared.
The bed one's really gonna stick with me.
Okay, yes, because if it was just the tapping and the stairs and the hello, I could write all of that off. Like, even with the hello thing back, I could be like, technology is crazy, you know, like, whatever.
Sure.
Like, we have a lot going on. But the bed thing, I'm going to need people to stop telling me about things getting in their bed.
Please start sending more bed stories.
No. It is so sick. It's so sick.
Yeah, that one really, really freaked me out. With a passion, I hate the stories of people being cuddled by a spirit.
Oh, it literally turns my stomach.
This one is from Kensi. Hi, I'm a new listener and absolutely love you guys. Just wanted to drop by and tell a few stories. To preface, I grew up in a very rural town in southern West Virginia. So you're surrounded by mountains and woods everywhere you go. When I was around 16, I was going to stay the night with my friend. My dad and I both decided to go outside and start his truck and my car before we both left, as he worked night shifts in the mines. It was around 9 in the middle of December, so it's completely dark outside. And as I said, it's rural, so we had no street lamps or really anything outside to help you see. For this reason, my dad turns on his mining light to use as a flashlight for us to walk out to our cars.
Speaking of flashlights, have you seen those flashlights that light up like a football stadium?
Yeah, like one single lamp that just shoots out. Yeah. I saw a video, actually, sorry, this is so unrelated. I saw a video last night on YouTube where this guy was being chased by the police, and it was from the police car's point of view. And he drove up next to it, like gonna do one of those maneuvers where they hit the back of the car, spin out the car to stop it. And as he got up close, the person stuck their hand out the window with a flashlight and blinded them. Yeah, it was just a bright light. Looked like I was going into heaven, into the video. And it went on for a few seconds, and then when the light turned off, the car was gone.
That's hilarious.
Just disappeared. And the cop was like,
kind of amazing, but no, I want one of those flashlights.
What purpose?
I don't know. I just want one because if it's dark, I can make everything light around me. I
not
can
be scared anymore.
Be out in the world and it just lights up the whole block. I love it.
Okay. Well, he's shining his light onto the hill behind our house, scanning for any wildlife, just hoping to see something cool. I spot a pair of glowing yellow eyes staring back at me, and my first assumption is a coyote or something to that effect. I stop my dad and point out the set of eyes, and he told me he didn't know what I was talking about. For around a minute, I tried to be more specific, pointing a finger and describing where the eyes were, but he was adamant that he did not see them. I brushed it off and started my car. By the time I decided to leave, my dad had already left for work, which left me to walk alone to my car. This was no big deal, as I was used to being outside in the dark, having been born and raised there. Using my phone flashlight to guide me, right as I stepped where my dad and I were, trying to find the pair of eyes, I heard a voice coming from the exact place I had seen them say, "Hey, come here."
No.
I know that this wasn't my dad, as his truck was already gone, and my mom and brother were inside. To rule out my neighbors, I looked over at the carport, and to my terror, he wasn't home either. After ruling out the typical suspects, it hit me that there shouldn't be anyone else back there, as it was completely out of the way from the road, and people just don't walk back there. I shined my light in the direction of the voice, and there was nothing there. I had never felt fear like that. It was almost crushing. I ran the rest of the way to my car and got out of Dodge as quickly as possible. I've never experienced anything like it since, and I still have no explanation behind it, and it still freaks me out to this day.
My stomach, jumped up to the top of my head and then fell down to my feet.
That's pretty dramatic. No, the first time I read this, while I was getting to that point, I was shivering.
Mm-hmm. I don't like it at all.
It's the luring for me. I think it's not even just the talking, that's creepy, yeah.
But it's
hey, come here.
Come to what?
Me. Yeah.
Why? And what would happen if you did?
I don't want to know.
I mean,
truly.
I don't want to know, but someone needs to actually go.
Maybe they have, and they're not here to tell us about it.
Maybe. That's true. Wow. Thanks.
Sorry.
I'm scared.
I interrupted you a minute ago. I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
I don't know if it's even relevant, but you know that little TikTok challenge thing where people are like, yeah, no one can hear you scream. And they're like, what? And they're like, oh, I said, do you want to get some ice cream? They're like, that's not what you said. Have you seen that?
No.
It's people will take a friend or their mom or something out into a secluded area like the woods or something like that. And they'll be like, oh, wow, yeah, it's a cool place. And they'll just casually be like, yeah, no one can hear you scream.
That is creepy.
And it's really creepy and scary, but it's kind of funny. It reminds me of the time we were looking for your dogs. And the guy we were on his
tent?
land, he was like, oh, yeah, you can go ahead and scream. No one will hear you.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so
I thought we've told this before.
I don't know. We didn't tell that part, I don't think.
Maybe.
Quick backstory. My dogs ran away. It was really sad. We were looking all over the place. And then I got a message on my neighborhood app saying, hey, I think I have your dog. Because I had posted on it asking if anyone had seen him. Well, they had seen one of my dogs, Cleo, with their night vision goggles. I don't know why they were out there just looking, which makes it even more creepy. They were out there
a spyglass.
looking with their night vision. Yeah, glass. And saw my dog hidden underneath the tree and like some brush and stuff. So we went out there. I don't know why. Me and Natalie just drove out there to some guy's house. He
hopped on a mule.
All this land. Yeah, he's like, oh, it's back here. We hopped on a mule and drove further deeper into the woods at his house. And we're out there calling. And I was like, oh, can we like call? He's like, yeah, you can go ahead and scream. No one will hear you.
And it was in that moment that I said, what have we done?
We were on the phone with Jake while we were doing it because I was like, we have to at least, someone has to know what happens to us.
But it was like,
still, it was very weird. I mean, he meant no harm by it.
No. And they were very kind. And I was very grateful that they were so helpful to help us get your dog. But
don't ever do that.
It was such a stupid decision after
Yeah.
the fact. We just willingly got on someone's property and drove out with them past their gate, just like deep into the woods.
Yeah.
Because they were like, yeah, I have your dog. And as much true crime as we grew up watching.
I know.
It
All
was-
I was thinking was rescue my dog, which I'm glad I did because she ended up being really injured and she had to like have surgeries and stuff. It
Yeah.
was
She's
a
good
lot.
now. What a dumb thing for us to do.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even wearing tennis shoes. I was wearing slides.
Yeah.
So if we had to
wouldn't be able
run, I wouldn't have been able to do it. But anyway, that's just what that reminded me of. It was like, hey, come here. Oh. I don't know. I'm scared.
Okay, well, Kensi has more. This story comes from my great-grandma, who is one of the most religious women I know, so I trust her to tell me the truth. But in the 90s, her son had passed away in a pretty brutal bar fight. Years later, in the early 2000s, her husband began getting sick, just old age and a lifetime of bad habits catching up to him. One night, she had fallen asleep and had a dream that her son came to visit her. He sat with her and told her that he was okay, he wasn't hurt, and that things are fine. They talked for a while and caught up, and as he was about to leave, he turns to her and says, Mom, I hate to do this to you, but the next time I come back, I'm taking Dad with me.
Oh.
So despite loving and missing her son very much, she prayed to not see him again because she knew that if she did, she would lose her husband too. As it turns out, a few years after that dream, her son comes to visit again. This time, however, she was not asleep, and he did not come to talk to her. She described him as wearing what he was buried in, a beautiful white suit. She said that he paced through the house screaming. She was absolutely terrified because she said that a human would never be able to scream like that, especially as long as it went on, from around midnight to 6 a.m. 4 days later, her husband, my great-grandfather, passed away. To this day, we aren't sure if it was in fact her son coming to pay a visit and guide a loved one into the afterlife, or if it was a completely separate entity bringing a death omen disguised to look like her son to make her more comfortable. Definitely spooky and one of my favorite stories to tell. Feel free to share one or both of these stories if you'd like. And if you want more, I have plenty. Keep up the good work, girls. Wishing you both happiness and success.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. And yes, send us more.
That made me feel so uneasy. I was prepared to be like, oh, like he's guiding.
Yeah, I
He's
know.
with his dad.
That is not how it ended. Pacing back and forth for 6
Screaming?
hours. Screaming.
Why?
Yeah.
Was it the son?
I don't know. I'm inclined to say no.
You
Just
think?
because of... So when I first read it, I was like, oh no, that's definitely something else. And disguised as a son, but at least it's in like cahoots with the son because he said, next time you see me, like next time I come back, I'll be taking Dad. So like
I
the son
guess.
knew. I don't know. Maybe. But as I read it the second time, I don't know. It felt like maybe because she was praying to keep him away, he was conflicted and like, I have to do this. And I don't know, was being torn. I don't know.
That's kind of what I was thinking too, but it just feels really scary.
Really scary.
And you would think if it was her son, he wouldn't want to be frightening.
Scaring her? Yeah, I agree. But I can't imagine the terror of watching your deceased son pace up and down your house
No.
for 6 hours straight screaming, and then knowing that means your husband will be dying soon.
Do you think the husband was able to see it or hear it?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, he was really sick.
So he might not
might
even been aware.
Yeah, that's a really freaky story. Thank you for sending that in, Kensi.
I was really prepared for it to be like really
sweet
beautiful
one?
and like he'd come to her and be like, I know you're not ready, but I have to take him. Like
Yeah.
beautiful.
No.
It took a turn.
Not at all. Those are my favorite kind of stories when you're expecting sweet and lighthearted and you get just pure terror.
Yeah, because that one's pretty freaky.
All right, our next one comes from Kaelan. Hi guys, my name is Kaelan and I thought I'd share my creepy story with you guys. So in October of 2019, I had just moved into a new home with my parents. I was 13 at the time. Now I'm 19. I was alone in my room, door closed, in the house alone, when all of a sudden this loud, witchy-like tapping started on my door near the top. At first, I thought it was my mom. It wasn't, because she's an avid nail biter, but I still called out for her, but nothing happened. I then got up and opened the door to check, and nobody's there, and the tapping had stopped. I turned around, closed my door, and shrugged it off. Once I get back into my bed, tapping continues again. Luckily, I caught it on video. I'll insert the proof below so we have it. But once I had shown my mom the video, she had told me about more experiences she had in the house with cabinets opening, things randomly falling. But more recently, over the past 4 years, I've been dealing with a mimic in the house that will call my name or say something and it'll sound just like my mom, but either she's not home or she didn't call my name. It's safe to say that after all of this, I found out that the house was built in 1912. So most definitely it has to be still harboring some spirits.
Oh, yeah.
You want to see the video?
No.
Okay.
But yes.
It's just it's nothing creepy. You can just hear it.
Yeah, and I don't like that. But yes, I do want to see
Let me
it.
get to it. There it is.
There's no one at my door.
Oh my god.
And her door is shut. So it's not like it's creaking open or
No.
anything. She said she shut her door.
That was so much freakier than I thought. Why is it like like it's fast?
Yeah.
I didn't like that. I was ready for like a tap, tap, tap.
Yeah, no, it was like it was taunting her.
I'm scared.
When I first opened the video and listened, I was like, I don't know what this is. And then I had to turn it up all the way and was really listening. I was like, oh God.
I can't. Oh, I don't
Prayers
like
for
it.
Kaelan.
Yeah. Because, like I said, I can convince myself of anything if I really try hard enough. If I heard like tap, 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 I could be like, there's a water leak.
Yeah.
The sink is on. Like, I don't know, something, maybe like the little things on the ceiling fan are tapping. But that type of sound,
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. And I wouldn't have an explanation.
No, and that mixed with the fact that she's had a mimic and like problems with that throughout the house.
No, get out. Oh my god.
Very, very creepy.
It makes it more real when there's evidence.
I know. Okay, this next one has some good stories though.
Okay, we need it.
A little cleanse.
Good.
It's from Kelley. Hello, Ghosty Gals. My name is Kelley. I found your podcast on YouTube about a week ago and immediately subscribed. Thank you. I've been binging all the episodes and am now officially all caught up. First of all, let me congratulate you on passing 10K subscribers. Woo! We're now like 37. That's crazy.
It's weird.
Let's not talk about it.
I can't.
I'm so glad that all of us spookies have a fun and cozy place to come together and share our love of the supernatural. But the reason I am here is to share with you some of my own personal experiences. I tell very few people about these encounters because when I was young, I learned that people think I'm weird if I talk about them. You may tell these stories on your podcast if you wish. They are short and mostly sweet. See, that's another reason why I'm glad we have the listener stories is because it's I love telling ghost stories and I love hearing people's ghost stories and I like a good place where we all know where we stand here. Like, we all know.
We're not judging.
We're believers and we're never going to think you're crazy. Yeah.
No.
Story 1, The Guardian Angel. This is my favorite story. This story also happened to be my earliest memory. When I was 2 years old, my family moved into our home in a tiny little farm town. One day, my sister and I were standing at the top of the staircase, messing around as toddlers do. I lost my footing and tumbled down the stairs. I remember falling in backwards somersaults, trying to grab the railing, but I couldn't get a hold of it. On the last stair, I was upside down and would have probably knocked my head on the bottom, but I felt someone catch me. She cradled me in her lap like one would hold a baby. She was beautiful, wearing a white dress and had long blonde hair. She wasn't fully solid like a person, but instead translucent, and there was a soft white gold glow around her, filling me with a warm, safe feeling. She did not speak. She merely smiled at me. She held me, and I looked up at her. My mom raced down the stairs to check on me. She didn't see the woman. "I'm okay, Mama," I said. "The pretty lady held me until you got here." The whole encounter lasted a matter of seconds, but I still remember it almost as vividly as the day it happened. We believed that this woman is my guardian angel, and that if she hadn't intervened, I would have been injured.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sweet. I like that one. We should have saved these for the end.
I know, I'm sorry.
Have you ever fallen down the stairs?
No, I've fallen up the stairs.
I've fallen down.
Have you?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing.
You instantly laughed.
I'm so sorry. I just thought about you like,
It was when I was
tumbling down. I'm so sorry.
Thanks. So in our old house when I went to pre-K like half days.
Yeah.
I'm
so sorry. I need to compose myself. Hold on.
No, I'm telling you a sad story.
Okay.
It was a half day pre-K. Like I went to, so I was obviously like 4, and I completely fell down the stairs. And you know how there was like a landing at the end and like the wall?
Yeah.
Smacked right into the wall. I was totally fine. But mom came running. She's like, "Are you okay?" She laughed as well. So
Well, after she found out you were okay.
yes, but yeah,
I don't know why. I just picture you like,
I can-
all the way down.
I can see
Was
what
it
I
like
saw.
somersaults or sideways?
Yes, it was straight down, smacked into the wall. You're so mean.
I'm so sorry.
I was a baby. I was 4 years
Okay,
old.
well, I'm picturing you now.
No,
Like, just
if it was me
rolling
now.
through the air.
Yeah, no. I remember that.
Oh.
A lot of bad things physically happened to me in that house.
On to story number 2, the hotel ghost. As teenagers, my sister and I spent a week each summer at a hotel on an island. This island is believed to be haunted and was even featured on the TV show Ghost Hunters. The island was once briefly home to John Smith, yes, that John Smith, and even rumored to have been visited by the infamous pirate Blackbeard. Frequently reported ghosts include a woman in white, sorry Natalie, who still calls for her lover lost at sea to come back to her, the spirits of a few young children who died after falling off the rocky cliffs at the back of the island, and a couple of poltergeists. One night, as my sister and I sat in our room with some friends we had made on the island, we were discussing and laughing at the ghost stories that we had heard. Not making fun of them exactly, but not quite believing all of them either. In the midst of our chorus of teenage girl giggles, the blinds in the windows by the bed shot open, flew off the window, and clattered to the floor. We all sat there, stunned, and made a silent agreement not to mess with the hotel's entities anymore.
Agreed.
Could you imagine?
Oh
You're just like,
my
"Hee-haw,
gosh.
ghosts," and it's just like,
That's the type of ghost I would be. It's like, oh, you think this is funny?
just
That's
a petty ghost.
That's hilarious.
I want to
That's
know what
scary.
this island is. I'm going to email her later.
I do too. I was going to say, like, do we know where? What hotel?
She didn't say, but I'm going to email her later and see if she's comfortable sharing.
I would like to know.
Story number 3, the mimic. Despite the spookiness of the island mentioned in story 2, it also has a certain charm to it. Most who visit the island fall in love with it and they return many times. This was also the case with my sister and I. As young adults, we repeatedly returned to the island each summer as employees of the hotel. I worked in housekeeping. Sometimes we would work in pairs. Such was the case one particular morning when I was paired up with my coworker. Let's call him John. As I made beds and swept floors, John was cleaning bathrooms. As I finished up a bed, I was leaving the room and I could hear the squeaking noise of John cleaning a mirror and his whistling as he worked. "Don't forget to replace the toilet paper with a new roll," I reminded him. "Okay," came his voice from the bathroom. And I stepped out into the hallway and saw John all the way down the hall near the supply closet. "Sorry," he called down the hall, walking back towards me. "I needed a new bottle of cleaner."
Did she check after?
She didn't say
or just
anything else.
leave?
I probably would have just went on my merry way.
Just shut the door. Keep going.
Just like, okay, sure. Not only did she hear him, like, the squeak of cleaning a mirror,
Mm-hmm.
he said, okay, like, replied to her.
No, that's making me, a lot of these stories are making me never want to talk to someone unless I can physically see them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, never call from another room anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. And which my thing is, I will constantly be like talking to Ryan and then I'll say something and then I'll go, "Wait, what?" And he'll be like, "I didn't say anything." And I
You
sometimes,
did that to me last night. or
why do I
yesterday.
do that? I do it with, I guess, everyone now. I swear y'all will say something back to me. Maybe I'm just crazy.
I don't think you're crazy. There have
I
been
might
a lot
be.
of people commenting like, "Natalie, I think you have a gift." And like, maybe you do. Maybe you're hearing spirits.
Dude, I don't know. You're making me feel weird.
I'm trying to think, like, are you tapping into something else?
I don't know.
Let's hone your powers.
No.
Use them for good. Story number 4. Hello from the other side. A couple of stories in one here. My maternal grandmother always believed in the paranormal. She often told me the story of my guardian angel was her favorite story. She was glad that I seemed to be sensitive to the paranormal. We were always extremely close, but even after her passing, I feel even more bonded to her. About a year and a half after Grammy passed, my family was staying with relatives for a long weekend. This long weekend also happened to line up with what would have been my grandmother's birthday. We had a huge get-together planned. We rarely see this branch of our family anymore since they live so far away, so because we were visiting, everyone was going to gather at my uncle's house to see us. Early in the morning, as I was sleeping, I had my first visitation dream. I don't remember what I was dreaming about before, but it suddenly shifted, as if changing the channel on a TV. Suddenly, I was standing in front of the house that my mom grew up in. Standing there were my grandparents, looking younger than I had ever known them. They smiled at me. I smiled back and greeted them. "I'm happy we reached you," my Grammy said. "We're doing good. Just wanted to let you know that we're still here. Tell everyone we say hello." I woke up feeling amazed and emotional. I have chills.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was awake too, and she told me I had a really weird look on my face. She could see that something had just happened. Later that day, when all the family arrived, I relayed Grammy's message to everyone, and we realized it was her birthday, and we all knew she was there celebrating with us.
Oh, that's so cute.
Beautiful. My next visitation from her came a few months later. In the dream, I was standing in the house my cousin lived in at the time, who was pregnant with her first child. I didn't know why I was there. Then suddenly I hear Grammy's voice. "She's going to the hospital," she said. "She's going to have the baby today. I'm going to go watch over her." I woke up to the notification sound on my phone, an excited text from my aunt. My cousin was in labor at the hospital. I told my aunt about my dream, and later that day my cousin gave birth. She later told me that she could feel our Grammy's presence there with her.
Aww.
Those 2 visitation dreams were the strongest I've had. She still drops in to say hello or offer words of comfort when I've been going through pain, but nothing has been as vivid as those previous 2 dreams. As an additional comfort, sometimes when I'm lying in my bed feeling blue, my room suddenly smells like Grammy's perfume, and I get the feeling that she is here with me. I have a few more spooky stories I could share, including another mimic, a premonition dream, and a vivid dream of a past life, but I feel like this message is getting long, so I will end it here. Let me know if you want to hear the others. Absolutely yes.
Yes, we do.
100%.
Those are so cute.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
So cute. And we're lucky enough that we haven't had very many people pass that we are close to. But I hope whenever that does happen, we can have things like that. I know I'll be in your dreams, but I won't let you know peace. Ever.
That's okay. I won't be scared because I'll know that it's your intention.
How will you know?
Maybe I won't. I don't know. But anyway, thank you so much, Kelley, for those stories, and we really do want to hear the rest of them.
Yes, I love that we're getting some lighthearted and nice stories.
Our next one comes from Julia. Hello, besties. I have just recently discovered your pod and have been binging all of your episodes. I've always loved anything paranormal and would love to share one of my stories with you guys. Also, sorry if my writing sucks. Grammar is my nemesis. My story takes place at my first ever job, which was at a Hot Topic in a mall about 30 minutes away from where I live. There were a ton of different things that happened during my time working there. Things all over the store would suddenly shake, like hangers and mannequins. Drawers would fall open on their own. And on one occasion, while my coworker and I were closing the store, a few plushies flew off their shelves and slid across the floor very forcefully. Malls are another creepy place.
I agree. Doesn't feel right.
Have you ever been in the mall where it's like desolate?
Yes. It freaks me out going in places like Dillard's or Macy's or things like that because the department store vibe when nobody's there
feels like dystopian.
Yes. It feels like the back rooms.
Yeah.
It's very scary. So I definitely feel that.
There was a super chill security guard that would come in late at night and talk with us, and one time he told us about the little boy from Express. For reference, Express was the store directly next to ours, and we shared all of the walls on the left side of the store with them. Back in 2003, there was a 6-year-old boy who was shopping in the Express with his mom and 3 siblings, and while he was in the store, a 10-foot, 240-plus pound mirror hanging on the wall fell on him and resulted in his death by crushing and lacerating his skull. The mirror was attached to the wall with glue, and the police said the glue just gave way after years of holding up the mirror. I was so shocked to find this out and did some research about it. I found a news article from a very reputable source in my area confirming everything and providing all the details.
That is so heartbreaking.
The weirdest thing that happened to me there was one night when the store was empty before closing. I was sitting behind the counter and I looked up across the store towards our Funko Pop wall. On the Pop wall, there was a single Funko that was very slightly and steadily shaking. This went on for a few minutes and I walked over to the wall to investigate and confirm that it was just that one single Funko Pop. Nothing else on the wall was shaking, not even the Funko Pop it was sitting on top of.
What?
Just one was just like,
oh no.
Like he was trying to grab it.
Yeah.
After a few minutes of staring at it, I finally took out my phone to get a video of it because of how weird it was. I took the video in Snapchat and everything was fine. But later when I went to look at it again, it wouldn't load. While I thought this was kind of weird, I just thought nothing of it and put my phone away. To this day, however, whenever I try to pull up the video, it is the only video in my memories that doesn't work. I get an error message anytime I try to watch it. Every video before and after it plays perfectly fine, but I don't think I'll ever be able to watch it again. Something definitely corrupted this specific recording. As I'm writing this, I just tried to watch it again and still it won't work. It doesn't even attempt to load or buffer. I just get the error message.
Whoa. I need to know what character it was.
Oh yeah, that'd be interesting.
I really want to know if it was like a fun little cutesy one or what if it was like a scary one. I don't know.
Yeah, give us the little details.
Maybe I obsess over the small things too much. But I just want to know, like, I want the whole picture.
Yeah.
I want to see, like, why they were trying to grab it. Or at least in my mind, that's what's happening is, like, they wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes it sad because the little boy.
He's a little boy, but at least he, like, He gets to explore the Hot Topic and all the little fun things around there, you know?
True.
Nothing else super notable happened, and I never felt anything malicious in that store, even when closing alone. Just another neutral presence sometimes. I don't think I ever even felt like I was being watched at all, maybe once or twice if any. I would just feel another presence minding their own business in there with me. I do remember though, the security guard, when asked if he had ever experienced anything while staying overnight, said, "Not really, but I have heard kids laughing behind me a couple times, and when I turned around to see if I have to kick people out there, no one is there."
Oh no.
I like to believe that the Express Kid, as we called him, liked to hang out in our store due to Hot Topic selling lots of fun little knickknacks and plushies for him to play with. I have a few more stories from outside of work / at my own house, but they aren't as interesting in my opinion, even though they are half/full body apparition stories. I would be happy to tell them if you would like, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. I really love your guys' show, and I'm really looking forward to new episodes. Hope you guys are both doing well, Julia. Take up all of our time.
Thank you, but also I am very into the apparition stories. I have never seen a full body apparition or even half or whatever spectrum there is.
Yeah.
And I want to know those specifically.
Yes, so
because
send those in.
I think I want to see a full body one.
I definitely do.
From afar.
Not too close?
Not too close.
Our next story comes from Amanda. Hi guys, my name is Amanda and I recently found your channel and love your content as I too love paranormal and all things creepy much like you both. Once I heard you were open to taking stories, I figured I'd share some of mine. I grew up in Long Island, New York in my grandparents' house that they bought from a woman in the late 70s after her husband John had passed away of old age in one of the rooms in the house. My grandparents bought the house as a one-level home and later built the house up and out to have a second floor and a larger living room. We also had a very creepy basement. My room was upstairs and had a crawl space in it. There was also a full bathroom and kitchen, living area as well. I remember being young and snooping around in my grandparents' things, and I found an old shoe brush with initials carved into them. I, being a young child, thought that it was really cool and took it upstairs with me to live on a shelf in my living area. Hindsight being 2020, I realize now this is when my paranormal experiences had begun. My paranormal experience had occurred while I was going to the bathroom. I sat down, ready to do my business, and all of a sudden, the shower curtain kicked up in front of me. I jumped up screaming and got my dad because I obviously had thought that there had to be either an animal or worse, a person hiding in the shower. My dad checked the bathroom through and through, and there was no one in the bathroom. I explained frantically what had happened, but he told me it was probably all in my head. This was around age 9 or 10.
I'm not 9 or 10. I'm 25, and guess what I do every time I walk in the bathroom?
Rip it open.
I open and I look.
Have you seen the videos of people like punching their shower or kicking their shower curtain just in case?
Yeah, and that is me. I am not going to be caught on the toilet. You'll never catch me lacking on the toilet. That's such a big fear of mine. That's like also with the shower.
You're just too vulnerable.
It's too vulnerable.
There was another time in which my friend was over and we were hanging out playing doctor or whatever else kids in middle school would play. My grandfather would frequently come upstairs to check on my friends and I to make sure that we were behaving. I must disclose that the stairs leading up to my room/apartment were extremely creaky, and you could tell when someone was coming up the stairs without fail. So we were playing and heard my grandpa coming up the stairs and jiggle the doorknob to my room/apartment, but he didn't enter. So we thought he was eavesdropping. He was funny like that. So we figured we'd open the door really fast to scare him. We did. No one was there. My friend and I immediately went to her house to hang out for the rest of the evening that night. Fast forward to me being in high school. My dad would drive me into school and would be the person who would frequently prank me to try and wake me up quicker than usual so he wouldn't be late for work. One morning, my alarm had gone off and I was in and out of sleep when I noticed a blanket that I had on the floor across from the room moving. It was moving up and down as though someone was inside the blanket, peeking at me and closing the blanket. And peeking at me over and over again. Me, thinking it was my dad, laughed and said, "Stop." But I got no response. So I sneakily got up and ran to jump on the blanket, to jump on my dad and catch him in the act, only for the blanket to deflate completely upon my weight hitting it. Upon the stark realization that no one was in the room with me, all the lights went on and I started to get ready for school and ended up being early for my anticipated drop-off.
The amount of instant fear. So one, that would make me mad because it would kind of hurt. And then two, that like snap of like,
there is nobody
nobody's
in here.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's scary.
That kind of reminds me of, is it the Conjuring movie where she's doing laundry and the sheet flies and it flies into a figure and then disappears?
Yes.
Fast forward again to my later high school years. I had my then boyfriend, now husband, Joey, at my house as we were hanging out in my pitch black room. We saw a huge black mass fly across my ceiling from a window into my crawl space that I had in my room. This crawl space had creeped me out so bad as a younger kid. I had my dad screw the door shut because the door to the crawl space would constantly open without a fail. The next day, I felt the need to rearrange my room, and in front of the said crawl space, I had my stereo system there on a table to avoid having to see the door all the time. As I was moving the table with the stereo system from in front of the crawl space, I noticed the 2-inch long screws were unscrewed and sticking out of the crawl space door as if something had been slowly unscrewing them over time.
No.
Freaked out, I moved the table with my stereo back, left it as is until my dad came home and fixed the screws.
That's horrible.
Like something had just been slowly trying to open the crawl space.
I don't like it for the paranormal aspect, but I also don't like it because I'm always afraid someone's going to be living in the house without you knowing.
Fast forward to the 4th of July, my grandparents at this point have both passed on, and my dad was at a beach an hour away from our house watching a fireworks show. Joey and I came home from his uncle's 4th of July party, and as I was heading up the stairs, he was walking through the kitchen/dining area downstairs to get to the stairwell, and we both heard a stern female voice yell, "Hey!" Joey said, "What?" to me, thinking it was me, and I said, "Joey, that wasn't me." From the stairwell. Needless to say, we both ran up the stairs to get to my room and shut and locked the door behind us. My dad came home 2 hours later. There was no one in the house besides Joey and I.
Oh no. Was it the grandma? Is it someone we know, or is it just someone random?
I hope it's someone we know.
Oh no.
I like how we're like we we are all one. Before my grandpa passed on, I did have a conversation with him regarding the stuff that went on in the house. When I was younger, he admitted that he told me there was nothing to worry about as a way to ease my fear about ghosts and monsters as you would with a child. However, now that I was older, he told me that he had kept a lock on the basement from the inside of the house for a reason, and that there was something in that house and in that basement that did things that he could not explain, alluding to ghosts. To be confirmed, like, yeah, there's a reason I keep a lock on that basement door. This conversation stuck with me ever since, and I'll never forget the look in his eyes when he told me that. For context, this man has seen some things, as he was a naval officer in the Vietnam War. The look in his eyes, though, when he had this conversation, still sends shivers up my spine to this day. I would often feel watched in the house and even developed a need for my blanket to be around my head, covering my eyes and ears, leaving only my nose exposed to go to sleep, because I remember being so scared of the dark in that house, and in that house only. I have since moved from that house and have not had any paranormal experiences. The only things I get now are the flickers of lights and finding random coins everywhere, which I was told by a medium that these were signs my grandma and grandpa looking over me and trying to communicate.
I've heard that before about like the pennies and things.
Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed my life experiences with the paranormal. If you chose to use these stories in your podcast or not, I'm just happy to have been able to share them with you for a good scare. If you have questions, anything, don't hesitate to reach out. Best, Amanda.
Ugh. Wow. Love.
Those are good stories.
Anytime someone tells us stories about their house or something that they grew up in or anything, bedroom, I want to see pictures.
I know, me too. I'm always curious.
Like, send us the address so I can Zillow it. I need to know what it looks like because I paint the picture in a completely different way and I want to know what it actually looks like.
We have one more story. It's from Karina. Hi. First, I just want to tell you I love your pod and you guys are so cute. Thank you.
Thanks.
Also, English is not my native language, so I might have some mistakes writing this. My encounters haven't been super scary, more like comforting in a way. My mom and I moved into my grandparents' old house back in 2000. My grandparents needed a smaller home as their health was declining with old age. My grandfather's parents had the house built in 1921, if my memory serves me right. So the house has always been in our family. Layout of the first floor. Coming in the front door, there were steps to the second floor and a door to the living room. You had to go through the living room to get to the kitchen and then through the kitchen to get to my room. So one morning, my mom had told me that she wasn't feeling well and might come home early from work. A couple of hours later, about 9 a.m., I was asleep in my bed. I woke up hearing the door to the living room open, footsteps walking to the kitchen, across the kitchen floor, to the sink, putting down a cup, which was right outside my bedroom door, but my bed was behind the door so I couldn't see anything in the kitchen. Thinking it was my mom, I called out, "Hi, Mom." Then I heard the footsteps go back into the living room. I thought she hadn't heard me, so I called out a little louder, "Hi, Mom." And now silence. I thought, well, that was odd, so I got up. There were no cups by the sink, no one in the living room. I went outside, her car wasn't there. I even went upstairs, but she wasn't home. She got home after work about 6 hours later, and I'd asked her if she had been home. Nope. That house had noises, like I would hear footsteps from the second floor and stuff. My cat would sit and stare at specific places around the house for hours, but seeing as it only had been in our family, I thought my great-grandmother must be checking in, and that gave me comfort.
Yeah, that's not scary.
In 2012, I moved into an apartment by myself. There were some noises, but I wrote them off as it being the neighbors. I have electric soap dispensers in my bathroom and in my kitchen. One night after living there for a couple of years, I'm watching Ghost Hunters and I get up to go to the bathroom. As I'm 1 foot out the bathroom, the soap dispenser goes off. I go back, wash the sink clean of the soap, and go back out. I am exactly the same spot when I hear the same noise, and I think that's weird. But I go back and wash the sink clean again. And at the exact same spot, once again, the same noise.
Batteries out immediately.
I thought, oh hell no. And I turned off the light and just got back on the couch under the blanket and texted my friend, who I can always count on to make a little fun of me and make me laugh. So I felt better. Next day, I put new batteries in the soap dispensers and it went off again as I was exiting my bathroom. This time it was daytime, so it wasn't the lights doing it. It had all new batteries, so that wasn't it. I switched it out with the one in the kitchen and it never happened again with either of them. Living here, I met my boyfriend of 9 years. He lived in the apartment right next door. His apartment was an exact mirror version of mine. I don't know why, but I was terrified of his shower. I had him pull the shower curtain to the side every night because I just couldn't go to the bathroom at night if it wasn't pulled aside. Nothing really happened at his place, but that shower, I just don't know. And it makes no sense because my shower looked just like it and I had no problems with that one.
When you know something's off, you know. So I don't think that that's like crazy out there.
No, you just get that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agreed. In 2019, we moved into our house and a couple of odd things have happened here. Living room and kitchen are mostly open space. Off the kitchen is the utility room. From the kitchen living room, you go down a long hall with the front door, bathrooms, and a guest room on the left side. On the right side is the home office and our bedroom. One night we were going to bed. My boyfriend went first and he falls asleep when his head hits the pillow. I'm brushing my teeth and I hear the TV turn on in the living room. I go to the door of the bathroom and I can see the TV on, but no lights. Then I look to the bedroom and my boyfriend is already asleep. I kind of took a moment, then called out pretty loud to my boyfriend, "Honey, your TV turned on again. Can you please go turn it off? Because I'm not doing it."
Valid.
Just after we moved in, I lost my job, so I would sit at the dining room table applying for jobs on my PC. From here, I have a perfect view of the window looking out to our front yard and the road we live on. If I turn to the right, I can see out the kitchen window into our driveway, and I would constantly see someone walk by close to both windows. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten up to go to look out the window or go open the front door because I was convinced someone was there, but there was never anyone. I will also hear footsteps on the ceiling like someone is walking back and forth, and sometimes they drop something really heavy like a big stone or something. There is an attic up there, but it is only accessible from our hallway, and nothing is ever moved when my boyfriend goes up there. This happens daily, so a couple of weeks of this and I tell my boyfriend. He shakes his head. Someone is just walking by on the sidewalk or something. Mind you, the sidewalk is at least 4 to 5 feet from the window, and what I'm seeing is very close to the window, like walking right next to the window. He tells me it's the neighbors, or I just have to get used to the new house.
Blinds, immediately. Blinds, curtains, blackout curtains.
Something.
Put something in front of the window. I'm scared.
One day he was homesick, lying on the couch watching TV. I'm sitting at the dining room table applying for jobs, and all of a sudden he just jumps up and races to the window and looks out the sides. I just smiled at him and said, "Told you so." One night we were watching TV and the footsteps started in the attic. After a couple of minutes, a big bang sounded. He just looked at me with wide eyes like, "Did you hear that?" And again, "Told you so." He ended up going up the ladder to the attic and nothing was out of place. One night I woke up because my 2 old cats were fighting and I got up to see what was going on. As I walked down the hall, I saw Marley sitting facing me and Magnus saw me and walked into the kitchen. I knew then Magnus was feeling guilty and tried to hide from me. I walked after Magnus into the kitchen, and when I didn't see him there, I walked into the utility room, the only place he could have gone, but he wasn't there. He was a big cat, so he couldn't have run by me without me seeing it. I walked back to Marley, who was sitting in the same place, and I saw Magnus walking towards me from the other side of the living room. I can't explain it. I don't know what happened.
Phantom cats.
Ghost cats.
Yes.
I invited people over for my 40th birthday, and my ex-sister-in-law came the day before. And we were talking about the ghosty stuff. And then she asked me, "Do you still have that rocking chair my father gave you?" "Yes." Then she told me that one time she and her sister were at their parents' house. She was filming her sister who was sitting in the chair rocking back and forth while they were talking. All of a sudden the chair just stopped rocking and you can see in the video that the sister who was sitting in the chair was trying to rock it, but it was not going anywhere. Then you see a light shimmer of a person appearing behind the chair for just a few seconds, and then it disappears and the chair starts to rock again. I got that chair when I lived in my apartment and the soap dispensers happened a few weeks after I got it. So there's something weird
Attached
going on
to
that chair.
chair.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
The day of my party, we were just waiting for the guests and we were standing in the kitchen island talking when my boyfriend says, "I think someone is at the door." Me and my ex-sister-in-law say, "No one's there," at the same time. My boyfriend says, "But someone just walked past the window," and we just went, "No one is there." And we were right.
Oh my goodness.
Well, my boyfriend believes me now, even if he doesn't always want to admit it in public.
I will say though, it is kind of, I don't know if I would say comforting, but it makes me feel a little bit better that it's not just happening when she's alone. That the boyfriend is also seeing it. Other people are seeing it. So it's not just like targeting her, like coming after her only.
Yeah, I
Because
agree.
that would be scarier if she was alone in seeing this.
Agreed. One last one. My boyfriend and I had minor surgery at the same time, so I was sleeping in the guest bedroom. One night I woke up and turned to look at the doorway. I saw a dark figure in the door looking in at me. He was about the same size as my boyfriend, so I thought it was him, but the figure turned and walked away. And that's when I knew it wasn't my boyfriend, because he was kind of walking funny because of the surgery at the time, and this guy was walking normal. At first, it freaked me out a little, but then I thought he was just checking in on me, and that was really nice.
Okay.
We still hear footsteps and see something pass by our windows, but something new was added a couple of years ago. My 2 older cats were getting really old and sick, so we had to put them down. We got 2 new kittens, but I still hear the sounds of my 2 old cats from time to time and feel them jump on my bed.
Oh.
Our new cats hear them and see them as well. I see them react to the noises I hear. I like the thought of them checking in from time to time. Sorry for the long email. Look forward to seeing the next video from you guys on YouTube. Kind regards, Karina from Denmark.
Oh. Okay, first of all, thank you. Second of all, I live for the animal stories.
Me too.
It brings me so much comfort and just like peace. I don't know. Because like, you know, the cats loved you and they just want to check in on you.
Yeah, and see how you and the new kittens are doing.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
That's so cute.
And I'm hoping that the figure that was looking at her after surgery was just the rocking chair dad and he was just making sure everyone was good. Because if not, I'm scared.
Yes, I agree.
But those are some good stories.
They were really good.
We had some-
I'm really excited about starting this back up again.
Yeah, we had a good mix of like scary and some wholesome. So
Yes. Well, I like it in the last one, Karina. She doesn't feel threatened by it
Yeah.
at all. Even the figure that was looking in on her, she was like, oh, it was just checking in on me after my surgery. You know, like it's not threatening. It's all
Yeah.
kind of connected and comforting sometimes, you know?
yeah, but I will say I never want to live in a house where I have occurrences happen.
Like over and over again like
Yeah.
that. Those were really good stories. I enjoyed all of them. And thank you so much for sending them in. We deeply, deeply appreciate it.
Yep.
If you have a story of your own that you would like to share with us and maybe see on a future episode, we would love to hear it. You can email it to us at ghosteaspod@gmail.com, ghosteaspod@gmail.com. Please, please, please send in everything you have.
We love to hear it all.
Even the smallest things. Even if you don't want it to be in one of our episodes, we still want to read it.
Yeah, even if you don't want it shared with other people, but you just want to tell someone and not feel so like alone in this experience, we'll take those too.
Yeah, just send it in and make sure you let us know. Please don't share this in the podcast because we won't, but we will share it amongst ourselves and respond back to you.
Yes.
And it might take me a while to get to you because we have a lot, but please do. If you like this video, please like it and share it with your friends. We've got lots and lots of good topics and lots of good stories coming up for the month of December. We're
Yes.
super excited about that. You can follow us on Instagram at GhosteasPod and TikTok as well.
And yeah, so I'm excited for December. It's going to be a good one. Back to 2 times a week. I'm really, really happy.
So we'll see you Monday.
Goodbye.